Good morning and welcome back to Training Thursday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to continue our look at the Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine subscription from Hachette Publications. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, basically what the magazine does is every issue you usually get a variety pack of subjects, usually some reading, painting tips, collecting. So you get like data sheets for all of the units that they've provided, and then usually some scenarios or some tutorials about how to actually play the game. And since I've mostly been out of the 40K games since about 7th edition, I thought it would be kind of fun to go through these. That way I can learn. I have played a couple of Combat Patrol games at our local store, but I'm trying some new things. And anyways, I'm rambling a lot. Y'all are probably annoyed by now and probably have clicked away. But for those of you who are still here, do make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop content, whether it's board games, miniatures, role-playing, or anything in between. And I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. So, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. That's what I meant to say. All right. So, what we are looking at is, so this is part 4. So these are the pages that they give you. This is, and then you'll have like a little over here on the, let me change the focus, get the glare. Man, this is all sorts of hard to see. There we go. We can kind of see it. Anyways, this says play introduction part 4. So the scenario is desperate measures. Having expended their ammunition against the Tyranid hordes, a squad of Infernus Marines makes its way back to their base. However, on their way, they are ambushed by a pack of Von Ryan's Leapers. The only way forward is through desperate hand-to-hand combat as they pit brute strength against the speed and ferocity of the Tyranids. All right, so here they then say to gather the data sheets. They actually included some data sheet cards with the magazine issues, just single-sided, but it basically gives you all of the information for the data sheet. There we go. All right, so basically you have the basic stat line, the ranged attack stat line, melee weapons, a little bit of lore about the unit, and any special abilities. And they have that for the Infernus squad and for the Von Ryan's Leapers. Now, the interesting thing here with those, so this says Mission 2 Desperate Measures. Now, if you remember a couple of videos back, yes, I realize it's been about a month. Forgive me, I've been out of the country. But we've already done a Mission 2, which I meant to get the book out and look, but we're not gonna worry about that. Anyways, they already did Mission 2. So how is this one different? In the original, actually, now I want to get it out and look. I apologize, everyone. Look, I'm nothing if not professional around here. All right, so Mission 2 was the Space Marine Captain versus 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. So that's essentially it's the same thing, but and so I was a little confused why they called it Mission 2. Since we'd already done it, why didn't they give me a different mission? But reading through it, it is a little bit different. For this particular scenario, the previous one was 1 Space Marine Captain in Terminator armor versus 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. And as you can see here, we've got 3 Infernus Marines versus 1 Von Ryan's Leaper. However, what they do here in this little challenge section Says, once you've played through the scenario once, try using different numbers of Von Ryan's Leapers and Infernus Marines. Remember to increase the number of attacks you make for every Infernus Marine and Von Ryan's Leaper you add. So, they're giving you a squad of 5. In fact, you can go up to 6 with the special Infernus Marine that they give you. And you've got 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. So, I think what they are trying to do is to get you to experiment with different numbers of units. You know, instead of 1 guy versus 3 and just rinse and repeat, do 4 versus 2, do 5 versus 1, do 1 versus 3. You know, mix it up and see how it comes out. That is one thing that you will see with these kinds of games, is that as units are reduced in size, you can't always break away, or you have to keep that fight going, or you know what, one more round, I think I can take those guys out, and then it turns out that you get eliminated instead. Whatever. Again, it's a push your luck kind of a situation. That's how these strategy games work. So, yes, it's the same kind of scenario. I'm just going to run through it as normal with the three Infernus versus 1 Leaper, mostly because otherwise the video will get ridiculously long. But I like to kind of look at how they're presenting this, and I think it's a really, really good thing that they did as far as teaching people how to play the game. All right, so let's get into it. All right. They do still give all of the information as far as how the turn works. So what the Space Marine is going to need to roll for hit, for wound, and then what the Von Ryan Leaper will need to make the save. So let's see. Actually, I'm going to change the look of the camera because this one's a little better and they're a little closer. Not very animated. I don't have a little animation software, although I could probably get that, but that's a whole separate issue. All right, so Space Marine hit rolls. Looking at the data sheet for the Infernus Marines, we can see that each model in the unit can make 3 attacks with their close combat weapons. Every roll of 3 or higher is a successful hit. All right, so I've got 3 Infernus Marines, so that means 9 dice. And every roll of 3 or higher, so that means 5 hits. So we're going to pull our failed hits off to the side. And then for wound rolls, now to roll to see if the Infernus Marines have struck hard enough to potentially injure the Von Ryan's Leaper. For each dice that was hit in the previous step, roll again. Close combat weapons have strength of 4, which is less than the Von Ryan's Leaper toughness of 5, which means they roll on a 5 or higher. So, roll again. All right, we've got 1 wound. Against the close combat weapons, the Von Ryan's Leaper has a save of 4+. Roll a dice for each successful wound roll. And we got a 5. So, no wounds, no wound markers placed. All right. So, now we would go over to the Tyrannid. So, the model can make 6 attacks and hits on a 3 or higher. So, again, we're going to have 3 hits and 3 fails. Strength of 5 versus toughness 4, so he's going to wound on a 3 or higher. So we've got 1 wound. And against the Space Marines have a save of 3. So, all right, we're going to take 1 wound. And they have 2 wounds each, so we're just going to put our first wound on this guy. And we're going to go back. So, again, we're going to need 3 dice per Infernus Marine. And we're going to need 3s to hit. All right, now that's a lot better. So I've got Oh, I didn't roll enough dice. Okay. So I've got 7 out of 9 hits. We're going to wound on 5s. So we've got 1 wound and then a 4 to save. Nope. We're going to put 1 wound on our Von Ryan's Leaper. All right. So hitting back with the Leaper, 6 dice for a 3 or higher. We've got 2 hits. It's 3s to wound. So we've got 1 wound and 3+ to save, and the Marine saves it. All right. Back to the Marines. 7, 9 dice. 3s to hit. With 8 hits. 5s to wound. With 4 wounds. And 4+ for the Von Ryan's Leaper to save. And he's going to take 2 more wounds. So, there we go. Von Ryan's Leaper has been eliminated, and the Space Marines win. So, all right. So this one, they don't give you a little story to go with it. A little disappointing there. But, again, that's the basic gist of it. So, as they say, you can change up the number of models. So say we bring in a second Von Ryan's Leaper. Now, when I'm rolling for Von Ryan, or for Leaper attacks, I'm going to roll 6, 9, 12 dice. Okay. Again, same thing applies. And if I bring in, a couple more. There we go. A couple more Infernus Marines. Obviously we've got to get everybody in and around the Leapers so that they can attack. But then I'm adding, so that's going to bring me up to 15 attacks for the Marines. So, like it said, play around with the totals, and you'll kind of see how one of these close combat evolves. I like that breakdown. I like that it got into more of the actual data sheet, told you to actually get the cards out so that you could actually have these references in front of you. So overall, I think they've given us a good amount of basics. They've taught us, basic movement, obviously without measuring, but that's fine. Basic movement, melee combat, and shooting, which are pretty much everything that you need to know how to play a game of 40K. Once you know those, everything else is pretty much just a kind of a special rule. So, all right, those cover all of the introductory scenarios. So starting with the next video, which should be coming out next week, we're going to get into some information dumps, basically just looking at specific pieces of the rules. I might have models out, I might not, depends on which piece we're going into. But now that I think it's been shipment number 8 is what I've received, and I'm supposed to get 9 here in a couple of weeks. They are moving into actually teaching full rules for 40K 10th edition. So I will be breaking down all of those sections as I get them. So with that said, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. And if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. But otherwise, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.